Alright folks, here's the grid. I just want to note that I've turned the lights off, obviously, so that we don't get a ton of lens flare in this iPhone video, so you can actually see what we've done. So to kind of get you started off with, is I've got the low power CFLs on here, which I talk about in the blog. I've secured them with normal clamps on the top, and then what I've done is I've taken wire ties and I've actually strapped those on the back, so if they fall, well, they can't really fall off that way. They're pretty much secured on there. That's a safe way of doing it. Anything you're going to have over the talent's head should have a safety line on it, because I mean the reality is these things could fall off. They're not expensive fixtures, and even expensive fixtures have these type of safety devices on them. They'll have chains or ropes. You'll see I have all my video cables run down the middle of the grid, and then I have some plant lattice, ivy lattice in the back there where the camera's mounted with just a simple C-clamp, that as well as secured with a carabiner and a nylon rope in case it fell and it would just hang. All my video and audio cables run separate from the electrical cables. I did this to avoid getting electrical interference from the electrical cables crossing or running parallel to the audio and video cables. If you have to cross audio-video cables with electrical cables, you want to cross them at a 90-degree angle. Let's see if I can find a good example of that. And what that's going to do is it's going to keep the electrical interference from bleeding over, because when they're in a parallel path, they will tend to do that. I don't think I actually have any in here that run. I don't see any. So anyway, if you have to do that, keep them running 90 degrees from each other. I run all the power down to mounted strips on the side. You can see the 1x1s here. And the whole grid turns on with a simple flick of a button. I have some of the lights turned off right now manually because I wanted to conserve some power earlier this afternoon. That also activates the cameras and any of the audio speakers or audio monitors that are mounted on the grid. Like I said, these 1x1s are fairly weak, or 1.5x1.5s, whatever the hell. I guess they call them 2x2s. So what you want to do is you want to grab some of these brackets and really make sure you've got these 90-degree brackets to secure all the joints. And I even did that on the 45 degrees. Where the strength is in this entire lighting grid is within the 45-degree angles that I've cut into them. So all these brackets here, or all these pieces of wood, really strengthen the structure. Now the truth is, the structure stood up without those in there, but I didn't trust putting additional weight on it. It was already kind of flimsy. It does have a little bit of flex in it, so you'll see I can move it around a little bit, but it stops moving relatively soon. And that's it. It works well. It's lightweight, it's easy to move, and I've mounted to where I have about 2 inches of clearance here between the ceiling and the grid itself, so I can pick it up and move it anywhere I want. As you can see, I can pick it up and move it with one hand, no problem. So you have 2 people on both points, you know, one over there and one over here, and you can actually pick this thing up and move it across the room. It's really easy to do, and it creates a great lighting effect. You can put all kinds of backdrops on it. Usually we have a backdrop hanging from the horizontal pole you'll see there in the background, but we've actually moved that to farther back. And then I have this coming out just a little bit forward, so I can mount lights as far forward as I want to, or I could even do a reverse tripod right here and have a camera pointed straight at the talent. So there it is. I hope this helps someone with their ventures into creating a lighting grid inexpensively. I just want to emphasize that you wouldn't want to do this with normal studio lights like Moll Richardson's or any of the professional lights, because they get way too hot to use on wood. You'd want to use aluminum stands or an actual professional lighting grid. But for the CFLs, these seem to work just fine. I mean, these things really don't. These lights don't get that hot. So if you give them enough clearance, you're pretty safe. Though, you just exercise common sense and don't get yourself in a situation where you're going to burn the place down. And I have a bunch of fire extinguishers sitting around here. So there it is, folks. Have questions, write me on studioonadime.com, and I'll answer what I can. You can also find me on Twitter at NorCalSurfer. Thank you.